Hi, my name is Eric Womack. I'm the Director of Tennis Instruction here at Palmetto Dunes. I'm hitting with our head tennis professional, Patrick Walker, and we're going to show you today how to be a better lobber. One of the first things right off the bat is to learn how to lob in the warm-up. If you can get your lob down in the warm-up, when the match starts, it becomes a little bit easier. Now, my goal in the warm-up is to hit a nice lob so that Patrick can have a nice overhead, but we usually have a hard time handling that first overhead. And the reason is we're using a different or the wrong stroke to try to handle that. So I'm going to hit Patrick a lob here, and when he hits this overhead to me, this is often the mistake I make. I take the racket back, and as soon as I take it racket back, I have no control over the depth of this thing. When Patrick hits an overhead, it has plenty of speed on it. I just need to redirect the ball upward to get that lob there. So the stroke I'm going to use right after I feed the first ball is to prepare with a volley motion. I'm just going to open up the strings a little bit more. And my job with that one is just to tap this ball back up. Give it a little tap, and now I give him a friendly lob, a little tap, that looks like a volley. And if I hit too deep, a little windy today, I say sorry, and see if I can go a little bit shorter with that ball, a little tap, because with that little bit of height, this ball goes fairly quickly deep. And so we can develop that rhythm there. And it's just as important for me to warm up my lob in the match as it is for him to warm up the overhead. Now, the second segment of this is the difference between an offensive and defensive lob when you're playing. I'm going to grab a couple more balls right here. And there are completely different goals on an offensive and a defensive lob. On an offensive lob, in simplest terms, if I could win the point with this, good. So the trajectory of an offensive lob is over their head but low enough that it continues to run forward. So if I can hit this thing, Patrick's going to move up just a little bit so we can show what this offensive lob might look like going over his head. By the time he makes a step or two and he realizes that ball's there, as fast as he is, that is a difficult ball for him to chase down. When you add height to a ball and you're hitting it at about 45-degree angle, this ball wants to carry as far as any ball that you hit because of that height that you put on it. So if I take a normal backswing and I hit this thing, that ball is gone. I've just missed that thing by 20 feet. So when I'm thinking offensive lob on this, I might, to help myself control that depth, abbreviate my backswing, don't need much here, and give this thing a little push, and before you know it, that ball's gone. Now you're thinking of using an offensive lob typically off of a volley that doesn't have much pace to it. So if Patrick and I are playing and he hits this kind of cream puff ball here, that's a great ball to hit that offensive lob on and get it over his head. And if, in the very least, I push him back and maybe get him in some trouble. A defensive lob is a completely different animal. My job is not to get that lob over his head. I'd love to if I can, by the way. My main job is to buy time to come back in the court. So if we could have our camera come over this way just a little bit, just so we can see, I'm getting ready to be on the run and really have to run pretty far to my right to go cover the shot. Patrick's going to start over here. He's going to get me on the run with a little angle volley. And when I hit this defensive lob and I get going for this thing, I want height on that ball. So by the time that ball bounces, I have an opportunity to come back into the court and recover. Now, I feel lucky that I got it over his head. And if that's the case, good for me. My main job is to make him hit yet another ball and go. If I hit this ball higher, it also helps control the depth a little bit better. Remember, 45 degrees gives the ball its maximum carry, but more straight up allows a ball to fall straighter down into the court, so I buy myself some time and room. That's how you develop a better lob.